Hello, everybody. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. My name is Dulce Grant. I'm the Alumni Success Counselor for both of our DCP high schools, and I'm super excited to be introducing myself, talking about this program with you all, and of course, starting off this new journey for your students as they get ready to graduate high school. So we are gonna get right into the slides so that we can have enough time to talk about everything today. Again, thank you so much for joining us today to hear about our alumni program. First, I'd like to introduce our team. We have Ms. Nitzia Cuevas Macias, who is our Director of College Programs. Myself, I introduce myself, and then we also have Denise Puente, who is our Alumni Success Counselor for our four-year students, and Jasmine Uribe, who is our alumni mentor for our two-year students or students that are attending community college. So this is our team. And before we move forward, I wanted to go over some housekeeping items. The very first thing is that we will be asking you to, put in the chat the name of your student, what DCP high school they attend, and at this point the presentation is in English, so you don't need to indicate that. And I also want to point out that we are going to be using the Zoom reactions in the presentation, and here's a screenshot of where you can find them so that you can use them once the time comes in the presentation. So make sure that you can locate those reactions on there. If there are any questions, feel free to add them in the chat, or you can raise your hand, and then we can call on you so you can, open up your mic and ask the questions that you have. Okay. So the other two housekeeping items is that whenever you see this little icon, this camera icon, that means that it's information that it's important. Maybe everything's important, but this information in particular with the little icon is something that maybe you're going to want to come back to later. You're going to want to remind your students, or that you're going to want to have. So we highly suggest taking a picture, taking a screenshot. And then the other point that we want to make sure you know is that the second portion of this presentation, starting at 6 o'clock, is going to be going over community college. So if your student is a student that it will be attending a community college, you're going to want to stay for that second portion of the presentation so that you can get all of the details on the transfer process and what to expect, and of course be able to ask whatever questions you might have. Okay, so without further ado, we're going to get started. Like I said, here is our agenda. We already introduced ourselves, or I introduced myself and introduced our team to you. We're going to go over the alumni program and services. We're also going to review, that first year transition to college or post DCP life. And then if your student will be going to community college, again, we're going to be going over the community college transferring process, information, and answer any questions you might have. Okay, so as we go along, if there's any questions, please feel free to add them to the chat. Otherwise, you can also, you'll have an opportunity to mention them at the end. Okay, so first off, for our alumni support program, this is a program that has been around officially for 13 years. However, DCP since the beginning of time recognized, right, that though our mission is to get our students to college, there was this big portion of through college that we were committed to. And so in order to be able to make that happen, right, DCP really started investing, right, time and money and resources into being able to make sure that students not only got to college, the first day of college, not just got accepted, but were able to actually make it through the whole journey, right? And because we know that journey is not easy, like I said, DCP has been investing in this program from the beginning of time, but officially since 2010. And so our program now is one that supports your student, right, through their college process, whether they're going to community college or a four-year. We are really there to support them as much as we can every step of the way. These services are available to all of our students that have graduated from DCP. So if your student, even if they graduated in 2014, 2017, 2018, like they will still have access to these services as long as, they are intending to enroll in a community college or four-year university. One of the things that makes our program very unique, aside from the fact that it is funded and provided by the high school, right? We continue to support our students and check in with them and really offer as much support and services as we can, is that we offer individualized support. As your student leaves DCP, right, a very small close-knit community, and they go onto these bigger campuses at the community college or at the 4 years, we know that the amount of attention that they get reduces, right? And so we are very committed to being able to support as much individualized support as possible. And so we do that through offering individual meetings through Zoom or in person. Right now our services are virtual, but when the student needs it, we can accommodate to do in-person meetings through phone calls, through emails, through text messages. We have some students that only feel comfortable connecting through text, right? They get a little bit nervous of having a conversation over the phone or through Zoom. And so we are very proud that we can have these services for our students. Students can schedule appointments on the day and time that is most convenient for them, or they're also welcome to drop into our designated office hours. So we are able to offer that individualized support and, you know, have that relationship with the student where they can feel comfortable coming to a meeting and being sure that, you know, we understand what they're going through and we can, you know, hear them out. So that is one of the points that is really unique about our program. And I think the other one, and I think one of the highlights that I'm most proud of for this for our alumni program is the comprehensive transfer support that we offer. So for our students that are going to community college, traditionally they graduate high school. In a traditional high school, they graduate high school, decide where they want to go, and they're kind of on their own. And DCP has really decided to not only like follow and support our students through the 4 year process, but invest in this transfer process, right? We have we walk with our students through like choosing, you know, making sure that they're connecting with advisors on campus to choose the right classes, creating their college list, visiting transfer schools. This semester in particular, we invested, or DCP invested, in being able to offer transfer trips, you know, going to San Jose State, going to UC Santa Cruz, going to Santa Clara University, for our students, for our alumni that are in community college, because we know that these trips make a difference, right? We support our students through completing their application. We offer one-on-one meetings. We also offer drop-in hours, workshops when necessary, and then, you know, once our students get through the application process, also supporting them through the decision process, right? Applying to financial aid, figuring out how much aid the university is offering them, and then really being there with them as they make these decisions. So these different points is what makes our alumni program very unique. And I think some of the services, right, that our students are really able to take advantage of. So though those are kind of like the big highlights, our alumni program does offer, you know, transition services from high school to college, anywhere from like, hey, how are you feeling, to like, let's understand this email, let's understand this document that you're being asked to submit, let's figure out your syllabus, like, you know, anything that helps the student really transition to that first day of college. We also support our students with transcripts and academic record requests. We support them through class registration and academic planning. We also support our students through the college application process. Through the college housing process. So applying for housing, figuring out, you know, where they're going to dorm, how much does it cost, when do they pay, and that everything that comes with that, right? We unfortunately cannot offer housing for our students because every university is very different, and they, you know, that would entail a lot more resources and than we have, right? But we do support them through the process of figuring out their housing. We also support our students that are re-enrolling to college, right? Students that have have taken some time off, right? Well, anywhere from between, anywhere from a semester to a couple years, we support them through the process of re-enrolling, right? Going through the application, applying for financial aid, setting up a meeting with the counselor, filling out support program applications, regardless of when your student graduated, as long as they have, that is something that they need support with, we are happy to help. We also are really big on supporting students through the financial aid and scholarship application process. So once the financial aid application is open for renewal, we'll offer workshops and one-on-one appointments and step-by-step videos. We will also blast out scholarship opportunities. We have our social media page where we constantly share new scholarships and opportunities available to students. And then the other service that we offer is guidance, like I said, for our students that are transferring to the four-year university, anywhere between like the majors, classes, financial aid. We are really there to support our students to be able to make those decisions and take those steps in their educational journey. As of right now, all of our services are virtual. And as I mentioned earlier, we do have the ability to accommodate for students that prefer in-person meetings, but the majority of our servers are available through virtually. So now we're gonna do a couple of statements, true or false statements, to make this a little exciting. And so you're gonna I'm gonna ask that you locate the reactions on your Zoom. And you're gonna participate by reacting to the statements that I put on the screen as true or false. Okay. So we're gonna test your knowledge for some of these alumni related statements. Here we go. So the first one is true or false. Services are only available to alumni 1 year after graduating high school. True or false? Go ahead and take a second to react. True or false? Perfect. And the statement is false. Our services, as long as a program is in existence, are available to all of our students that have graduated from DCP, that are interested or are currently attending a four-year university or a community college. We have older students or students that take some time off that often think like, oh, that doesn't apply to me, or I can't ask for help because I've been out of school for so long, and so we want to make sure that both students and parents know that these services are available to them as long as they are either enrolled or planning to enroll in a community college or four-year university. Okay. Next statement. True or false? Students have to renew their financial aid application every year. What do you think? True or false? This is a very controversial statement. Sorry, not controversial, confusing for folks. And the statement is true. Every year, your student needs to renew their financial aid. For this upcoming year specifically, it is super important that you encourage and you help us encourage your student to reach out for support. The financial aid application for FAFSA is going to be changing. And we don't have a preview of what that application looks like yet. So it's going to be super important that they ask questions, that they get support in filling out the application, that they are making sure that they are providing everything that the application is asking them for. Usually, the application opens up in October and it's due March, but this particular year, because of the big changes that are happening to the application, we don't know for certain when the renewal application is going to be open. So we are going to be keeping in touch with students, reminding them and letting them know as soon as that application opens. But we do ask that you please help us out at home by reminding them that they have to renew, right? It is really, really important. For their application, for the most part, they ask for 2 years prior for your tax returns. So this means that for your students' renewal, they'll be asking for taxes for 2022. So if you haven't filed them already, I highly encourage you to do that as soon as possible so that your student can be ready to go when the application opens. Okay. Next statement. True or false? My student's financial aid award is the same every year. What do we all think? True or false? Your financial award for your student is the same every year. Okay, and the statement is false. Every year, your student is going to be assessed. Their financial aid application is going to be evaluated, and they're going to be given a new offer. For the most part, what we've seen in the past is that if your family income stays about the same, your student is able to maintain above a 2.0 GPA, they're enrolled full time, meaning they're taking 12 units or more, and they're making academic progress, meaning that they're making progress in the classes and requirements they need to take, then for the most part, the awards tend to look pretty similar, but that is not, it is not certain. It cannot be guaranteed. So every year your student needs to renew their financial aid application, be on top of what the requirements are after they submit. If there's any documents, any additional information that the college needs, that they submitted, because then they're gonna use that information to be able to give your student an offer. So it's super important that you please remind your students, to not just rely on what they received the year prior, because it may be different, every year. So super, super, super important that you please remind them to fill out their application and stay on top of their requirements and their to-do list. That way, none of those things delay their offer. Okay. And our next statement is true or false. Parents or guardians can get information about their students' progress in college by contacting the Alumni Success Team. What do we think? That you can get information about your students' progress by contacting our team. True or false? Right. That statement is false. Once your student graduates from DCP, even if they're underage, we are no longer able to share information about their academic progress. If you are looking to request records like transcripts, cumulative files, anything like that, you have to ask your student to be the one that requests it. And even if you give us a call, we are not able to share that information in terms of progress, in terms of their documents. So it's super important that you remind your student that they have to be the ones asking for these documents and information. So once your student leaves, we are not able to give you information, and the colleges are not going to be able to give you information, right? So your student has to be the one advocating for themselves, connecting with the offices, doing the work to be able to resolve whatever situation they might have, because you as a parent, you will not be able to do that. Sometimes it's very frustrating and confusing for parents, because students still live at home and they depend financially on the parent, but legally we are not able to share that information anymore. Okay, perfect. So if there are any questions again about our alumni services, please make sure to add them to the chat. You can also, if you think about them later, you can send them to me in an email, and I will be happy to respond. We're now going to transition into the first year of college success. So at DCP, we really spend a lot of time trying to identify the factors that help the student be the most successful, right? And though there's an exhaustive list of factors that influence a student's success or that can predict the student's success, we really honed it down to these three factors or three sections that summarize the multiple layers of indicators for success for our students. And so the very first one was a financial well-being, academic performance, and social well-being. We believe that if these three things are, within balance and they are being addressed, for the most part, the student has a pretty high chance of being successful. We know that every student is different. Every student, every circumstance is different. And so even if they have all of these things figured out and taken care of, it does not guarantee that your student is going to be able to persist and graduate, right? But these are the factors that we focus on because we've seen the most results when we do. Okay. So we're going to start with academic performance. From year one, our team is focused on working with your student to make sure that they are registered for classes, right? That they register on time, that they don't wait until the last minute, that they have a schedule that works for them, that they have classes that make sense for them, that are going to be challenging, but that are also going to be set them up to be able to be successful and keep a good GPA. Right? We encourage your students to meet with an academic counselor or a major advisor because these are the folks that have the most up-to-date information about the university, about the requirements, about the majors. And so we encourage your student to meet with their advisor at least once during the fall semester and then again in the spring, so that your student can have the most up-to-date information and the counselor can support them in whatever it is that they need support with. We are also huge on encouraging your students to create an education plan by the end of year one. These plans have really set up students to be proactive about their education, be proactive about the classes that they need to choose, and really not spend any additional time that they don't need to taking classes that maybe don't necessarily count for majors or for general education. So our team is very honed in on encouraging students to get this done by the end of year one. And then the other factor that we really look at is the opportunity for students to to participate in support programs. We have seen, and the data has shown that when students are able to be a part of summer programs or that they participate in these different opportunities, their likelihood of persisting is higher. So we are highly invested in encouraging and supporting students to apply to, summer bridge programs or different opportunities that are only available in the summer. Okay. The other factor is our financial well-being. So I think personally, I might have mentioned this at the beginning, but I also graduated from DCP. I'm the first in my family to go to college. And so finances were always a really big concern in our family. And we know that this continues to be for almost all of our students, and families. And so being financially, well is really ideal so that the student can, focus on their education so that money doesn't have to be a barrier. And so one of the main things that we encourage students to do during their first year at their college or university is to get a student bank account. This will facilitate so much, they're making payments. If they need to make payments, getting reimbursements, this avoids the possibility of like getting checks that get lost and, waiting long periods of time to be able to get these checks, sent out again. And just having a student bank account, being able to link, their direct deposit, being able to receive the funds that way or make payments that way does make the process a lot easier. We also support students through the financial aid verification. So at this point, some of your students have already been chosen to be verified, meaning that they are chosen to submit additional paperwork to confirm that what you put on FAFSA is actually correct. And so we support students through the whole process when they get them email explaining what they're asking for, requesting the transcripts. We are really here to support them through this process. We see a lot of this, in the in early or late spring and early fall, when the universities start sending out notifications about verification. So it's really important that your student continues to check their emails, continues to check their portal even after graduation to make sure that, they're sending in all the documentation that they need. We also support students with actually accepting their financial aid. This happens a lot. Students get really comfortable. They get their financial aid offer and they think that that's it, right? Like the money is just going to be there. And for many cases, especially students that are receiving a Cal grant, they actually have to make an account, confirm their graduation, and confirm that that Cal grant has a correct school. And so if the student doesn't do any of that, the money is just going to be sitting there. So our job in working with your students is checking in with them over the summer, connecting with your students to make sure that they actually went through with accepting the offer, right? So the money is not just sitting there and then you have a big old debt. Okay, and then the other thing that we do to support our students' financial well-being is supporting them through year 2 of the application and verification process. So everything that they receive at DCP as seniors, they will also receive as alumni, obviously in a different capacity because we don't see them every day. But we do support them through these processes because we know that they're confusing and they're stressful, and there's so much going on that we are able to kind of mitigate, right, with our services. So the other factor is social well-being. So this is a really big area for our students to really focus on creating a community on campus. We know that for our students, specifically, first gen students, having a sense of community, having a sense of belonging is key to being able to persist in the college. We encourage all of our students, when they have the opportunity to participate in support programs like EOP, to get involved with clubs and organizations and sororities and whatever they can get their hands on, to be able to build this community, but also to start networking, start building their connections, start creating this path for them. The other factor that we look at a lot, excuse me, is supporting our students to balance family, friends, and school responsibilities. This is huge, especially that first year. We have a lot of students that really struggle to keep a balance, right? Either they are spending too much time at home and not wanting to go to school, which was my case. I wanted to be home and I wanted to help my family and I wanted to be there. And even though I knew school was important, like there was a part of me that felt really guilty for leaving. And so through our mentoring, through checking in with students, we do have these difficult conversations, and we do, do our best to be able to support the student, to have, to be able to confront the different situations that they're going through so that they can have a balance in being, socially well. And with this balance comes also the opportunity to have time, have time to study and have time to enjoy this new journey. And so it is a really big factor that allows us to see that students can be successful once when they have these things or these factors, like for example, this balance. And all of this process, like I said, this is specifically for our first years, but we are here to help every step of the way. We have individualized appointments one-on-one. We also offer office hours that students could drop in on. And we are going to be offering summer virtual workshops where your student is going to have an opportunity to do all of this work and get all this information, get more information during those virtual workshops. The very first one is on June 20th at 4 p.m. and it's going to be mandatory for all students regardless of where they're attending. We're going to be going over some really important information. Depending on where your student is going to go post DCP, they will have a different workshop. If your student is going to a community college or a 2-year, they will be joining us on July 25th at 4 p.m. Everything's going to be through Zoom. If your student is going to a 4-year, then they will be joining us on the 27th at 4 p.m. to discuss also, skills and whatever it is that they need to be able to be successful. And we don't leave you all on your own. We are also having a parent workshop on June 22nd at 6 p.m. where we're going to discuss what semester 1 looks like, what specifically you can do to support your students, and answer any questions that you may have that come up in the summer. Okay. At this time, we're going to take some questions if there's any questions. Very well. Thank you again for staying. If your student is going to community college, or you just want to have the information about community college, then you are in the right workshop, because today we're going to be talking about the community college process and answer any questions as well that come with this process. So we're going to get started. Here we go. So When your student goes to community college, they have a couple of options. A community college is usually known as a 2-year school, because traditionally, if your student is full-time and they do one of their associate programs, they're able to do it in 2 years. So that's why we call it a 2-year community college. But in reality, your student has a couple of options once they go to community college. The very first one is that your student can choose to go through a certificate of achievement program, right? Or receive their certificate of achievement. These are usually technical careers that are a little bit shorter. For the most part, the classes that are required are specific to that major or that program. Some examples are like AC and refrigeration, accounting, medical assisting, dental hygiene, and they're very, very particular, right? They don't take any other classes, but only the ones that are required by that program. Once they receive their certificate, your student is able to work in the field, right, at an entry-level position. The other option is for them to take transfer courses. So they don't necessarily get a degree. They take all the classes that they need for their major, their general education, and they're able to attend a 4-year university and then essentially earn their bachelor's degree. And the third option, and the one that we recommend the most, is for the students to get an associate's degree. So an associate's degree, they have a couple of options. They could do a regular Associates of Arts or Science, or they can do an Associates of Arts or Science in transfer. So every time your student sees a major that has that little T at the end, that means that they have guaranteed admission to a CSU if they meet the requirements of that program. And so those could be examples like biology, psychology, information systems, computer science, right? And so when your student receives their associate's degree, they have a combination of general education plus the classes that are specific for their major or program. Once they receive or complete all of those requirements, then your student receives their associates and they can decide to go straight into the work field, or they can decide to attend a 4-year university and then essentially earn their bachelor's degree. So like I said, your student has all 3 options. However, we highly encourage that they go through the associate's degree route. And for this transfer path or the associate degree path, what it means, again, like I just mentioned, is that your student will take classes at community college, right? They'll get an associate's that's composed of general education. So these are classes that are predetermined by the 4-year and the community college that they need to take in order to be able to come into their school as a 3rd-year student. And then they also do major prep. So it's really important that your student starts to make progress in their major or program that they want to do. And then if in some scenarios, the college will also ask the students to take some kind of prerequisite, some kind of elective classes. All of that usually totals a total of 60 semester units or 90 quarter units, depending on what community college your student is going to. Once your student completes those requirements, 60 semester and 90 quarter units, a combination of general education and major prep, then they can transfer over to the 4-year university as a 3rd-year student. So they don't have to start all over again. They come in as a 3rd-year student, and there at the 4-year university, they can complete the rest of general education. There are some general education classes that need to be taken at the transfer school. Whatever major coursework is left, plus, whatever specific university requirements are given to them by their university. At the end, they will have about 120 semester units. And so your student is able to get their bachelor's degree. So very exciting. Again, this is step 1, you get your associate's degree or get all your requirements to be able to transfer. And step 2, you transfer to be able to get your bachelor's degree, okay? And again, make sure that you add your questions if you have any in the chat, and I'm happy to answer. Okay, so at DCP, we dedicate time in senior year to start preparing for community college. The most common colleges are our 4 local community colleges: San Jose City, Evergreen, Mission College, and De Anza. And we support your students to be able to apply. For the most part, we're able to either take the student to a presentation or bring a presenter to them so that they can hear about the college, be able to talk to the representative, and then ask any questions that they may have. At this point, we've already completed a number of steps in their advisory. And so they've already attended or been given informational workshops about these different colleges. They've, for the most part, already submitted their applications to the community colleges of their interest. They've also submitted support application programs. So there's programs that are specific to support students in their time at community college, like EOPS, EOPNS, Enlace at Evergreen, Metas at San Jose City, FYE at Dianza, right? And these are programs that are tailored to be able to support students in their first year, right? First gen students. And so we encourage your students, and we've had your students apply. Then they attend their orientation or complete their orientation assignments. Every college is different. Some of them will require that they take a class. Some of them will only ask that they complete a form in their Canvas account. For the most part, your students would have already registered or are going to be registering in these next couple of weeks. So we have made sure to take care of that, and we continue reminding your student, if they're attending community college but have not registered, that they do it as soon as possible, because we know that the classes can fill up quickly. And then so that's where we're, so that's what we completed, and where we're at right now is waiting for financial aid awards. So it is very, very common for community colleges to send their financial aid awards later than for your university. So it's very, very common, but we continue to monitor, ask students to log onto their portals, make sure that the colleges is not asking, or they're not asking for any additional paperwork or information, because that could delay the process. And, you know, we wait for the financial aid award, and then the term begins, depending on when your student will be attending. At community college, the cost is very different than at a four-year university. At a community college, they charge by the number of units that your student takes. So every unit at a community college can be anywhere between $31 to $46 per unit. One class can typically be between 1 to 3 units. And as I mentioned earlier about full-time versus part-time, I made a slight mention, but in order for your student to be considered full-time, they need to take at least 12 units, 12 units or more. Every class has a different value between 1 to 5 units. I've actually also seen classes that are 7 units. And so the number of classes doesn't necessarily mean full-time. It's really the number of units that they are taking. So they should be taking about 12 units. And so for a student who's full-time, we estimate that the cost of attending one semester at San Jose City, Evergreen, and Mission is about $752 per term, right? Per year is about $1,500 just in the cost of the classes. At Dianza, it's a little bit more, about $665 per quarter. So Dianza is a quarter school, about $1,900 per quarter. So this is how much it would be if you paid out of pocket, and you know, you didn't qualify for any aid or anything like that. However, we know that at the community colleges, there's a lot of investment right now. The state and the Department of Education are doing everything that they can to be investing financial aid into these community colleges. So even for our high income families, community college can be in a place or an opportunity where they are considered for waivers, or where they're considered for aid that will cover the tuition and fees. However, in order to be able to tap into that aid, your student does need to meet a number of requirements. And the very first one is that they submit a FAFSA or California Dream application. All the time, when students know that their family is high income, and that they don't traditionally qualify for any aid, then they just don't apply anymore, right? They kind of just leave it and they don't apply. However, in order to be considered, you do need to submit an application. So we highly encourage, if your student has not done that already, that you please ask them to get it done as soon as possible. They are welcome to stop by the college labs at whatever high school they attend to be able to get support. Your student is also encouraged to be enrolled at least part-time. in order to be able to qualify for aid. Part-time is 6 units or more. And so it's really important that your student is doing everything that they can to be full-time if they can, right? Because that's when they can take advantage of the full financial aid award. And it's really important that they do that so that they can make progress in their major as well. The other requirement is that your student has to keep a GPA of above 2.0. So it's really, really important that your student knows that even though they're not in class, as long as they are, when they're in high school is usually Monday through Friday, 8 to 4 or 8 to 3:30. In college, it's very different, right? The college classes themselves are a lot shorter. However, for every hour that they're in class, we usually estimate that you're studying or doing work outside of class for about 2 to 3 hours. So it's a lot of time. If your student is thinking about working, is thinking about taking on, other responsibilities, we highly encourage them to connect with someone, whether it be an advisor or a counselor at their campus or one of our team members, that they discuss it first, right? It's very easy for students to get excited. It's very easy for them to, want to start making money, wanting to feel independent. And though it is really great, we also want to make sure that it doesn't jeopardize their aid. It doesn't jeopardize the amount of time that they're in community college. So we highly encourage students that are considering working that they consult with someone first, right? We don't want to jeopardize their GPA and then they have to, lose their financial aid. And then the other big thing is that your student commits to making academic progress. So they do have to be taking classes that are moving them along in their degree. So it is really nice because it's kind of like an outside checker, right? That is assuring that they're making progress. Here is an example of what a financial aid award may look like, or a financial aid offer, excuse me, may look like. There's a number of financial aid available. There's state aid, there's federal aid, and there's also aid that's based on the college. So it's really important that your student is checking their portal, checking the tabs under financial aid. Not every school gives out a notification that financial offer is that the offer is ready to be viewed. So it's important that they constantly check to see if they were offered any aid. It'll also tell them what term they were offered. So especially if your student is taking summer classes, it'll be important for you to know if they did get offered aid for the summer, or how that will work out. Okay, so I know this is a lot of information, and it can be very complex, and sometimes it helps to look at your student specific circumstances. So I will be available to do one-on-one family meetings. If you would like, you can use the link here to book your appointment on a day and time that works best for you. And I'm happy to answer any questions. If you want to review financial aid, if you want to review major requirements, whatever it is that you need, I'm happy to connect. So you can use that link in order to be able to book an appointment. Even after June 8th, after graduation, I will also be available to meet and answer any questions that you might have. Okay. So just some important reminders that I wanted to give everybody before we log off today. When it comes to community college, it's so important that everybody knows and feels that community college is real college. Right? We often hear family members and parents and students even think that, well, it's not that serious because, you're going to still live at home, and it's going to be the same, like, it's not a big deal. And we want to emphasize that's that it actually is a really big deal, right? The academic rigor at the community college is not too different from the one at a 4-year. And so even though students may be still living at home, the amount of work that they have to do is going to be significantly more. The process of transferring is very complex. So it's going to be really important that the student is constantly communicating with their advisor, with their mentor, with whoever is going to be supporting them in this journey, to make sure, that they are making progress, that they're doing what they need to be doing, because like I said, right, community college is real college, and so it's really important. The other point that I wanted to make and kind of emphasize is that there are a number of milestones that your student is going to have to meet if they're planning to transfer, right? You know, anywhere from choosing their major to making sure that they're doing general education, that they're meeting all the graduation requirements. Like there's a lot of milestones that your student is going to have to get through. And so it's important, again, I cannot emphasize it enough, that they're reaching out for support, right? It is not a, you know, a quick let's go and done deal. Like there is a lot of like complex layers that will impact your student's performance, that will impact their what is it called, their options, right, when they're thinking about transferring. And so it's super important that you and your student go into this journey knowing that, right, there's going to be multiple steps. And the last thing I wanted to remind folks and remind you all is that even though we say, you know, a 2-year college, you're going to transfer in 2 years, the reality is that the actual application process starts within a year of your student attending community college. So it goes by really, really, really quickly. And it's important that your student starts preparing for that. You know, like I said, we have those summer workshops. We have one-on-one appointments available, that they start reaching out, because the time goes by so fast. You know, and everybody always says that, but it really is true. It goes by so fast. The next thing they know, they're already getting ready to graduate, and they, you know, they can delay their transfer process if they don't apply on time. So super important reminders that I wanted to give before we end today. Again, you can take a screenshot of these. These are the summer virtual workshops that we will have. We will have the mandatory one on the 20th of June. Then we have the College 101 survival ones, depending on what community college your student is going to. And then for parents, we do have June 22nd at 6 p.m. where we will be able to cover information about how to support your student in the first year of college. Okay, so that brings us to the end of our presentation. Thank you so much from the bottom of our hearts for taking the time to be here with us, and, you know, and asking questions and participating in the statements, the true or false statements. We hope that you find this presentation informative and helpful in your journey as a, you know, upcoming alumni parent. We also have a survey that we would like to ask if you could fill out and give us some feedback on what you thought about the information, how we can best support you, how DCP can best, you know, be of support, and also like how often you'd like to be contacted by our team if you want to be, you know, kept up to date about all of these services and offers. Okay, so with that, we're going to open it up for questions. If anybody has doubts, questions, anything that they want to discuss, you can put it in the chat, or you can open up your mic. And if not, you can go ahead and work on the survey, and feel free to log off when you complete the survey. Okay, thank you. Thank you so much again for participating and joining us today. Thank you.